This is Doug DeMuro, and today we are going to talk Ford F-150 Lightning. This is a big deal. Ford revealed its new fully electric F-150 a few days ago. It's caused a big splash, and today I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. So let's get started. Okay, so let's talk Lightning. Now first, I'm gonna give you kind of an overview of it, some specs, some cool details, that kind of thing, and then I'm gonna kind of get into my take, my pros and cons of the Lightning kind of take, my thoughts. So, to start with kind of an overview, there are going to be two versions of the Lightning based on battery size. There's going to be a standard range, standard battery size model with about a 230 mile range, and then there's going to be an extended range model with about a 300 mile range. Now, it should be noted, these are Ford's range estimate numbers, not the EPA's, so it could change, but that's what Ford is targeting. Now, the standard range F-150 Lightning has about 430 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque, pretty strong numbers, and it can tow around 7,700 pounds. The extended range version has 560 horsepower and the same 775 pound-feet, and it can tow 10,000 pounds. Now, all of the Lightning models are going to be the Super Crew body style, so that's the full four-door crew cab body style, and they all have dual motors, and so they're all going to come standard with all-wheel drive. Now, one very impressive thing with the F-150 Lightning is pricing. Pricing is going to start right around $40,000 for like the base level work truck version, and that is before the federal tax credits or any state and local tax credits for an electric car, and that is pretty impressive. And that actually makes it cheaper than a comparable gas-powered F-150 of the same like work truck ilk. Now, apparently the XLT model, which is obviously more consumer-oriented instead of more commercial-oriented like the base version, that's going to cost more like $53,000, $55,000, which doesn't really hold the same price advantage since a gas-powered XLT F-150 starts around $46,000. Now, also Ford says well-equipped luxury versions of the F-150 Lightning, they're going to cost up to $90,000. So that's a lot of money, but obviously we know how much stuff luxury trucks can get and can have these days, and how much money people are willing to pay for true luxury pickup trucks. And next, now for the cool stuff, and there is a lot of cool stuff with this truck. For one thing, there is a front trunk. Because the F-150 is an electric vehicle, it doesn't need a combustion engine up front taking up all that space. It has a trunk instead, and it's a power-operated trunk mechanism, so you push a button and it like automatically rises up and it reveals this rather large trunk. A lot of cargo capacity. Ford says big enough for 2 golf bags in the front trunk of an F-150. And this is actually a pretty big deal because one big complaint of pickup truck owners is you have an exposed bed in your truck, you don't really have anywhere to put anything, or else you risk it kind of getting stolen or vandalized or rained on or whatever. Well, now you have the best of both worlds. You have a bed where you can put stuff, haul stuff around, and you have a front trunk where you can stick stuff if you want to kind of keep it private, keep it out of the way. So you have like a trunk from a sedan and a bed from a pickup truck, and that is a pretty cool feature. A couple other cool things. One is the big touchscreen. The F-150 Lightning will offer this massive touchscreen, just like the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and also like Tesla and other brands that are sort of gravitating towards these big screens. Lightning will also come with Blue Cruise, which apparently is what Ford is calling its kind of hands-off driver assist system, sort of like Cadillac Super Cruise, Tesla Autopilot, and similar things from other brands. In this car, it's called Blue Cruise, and the F-150 Lightning will have it. Next up, performance. Ford says 0 to 60 with the extended battery in the mid 4-second range. So this will be the quickest F-150 ever made. Now, I have to admit, when I saw Ford was reviving the Lightning name, but they were bringing it back for an electric truck, I was kind of disappointed. I kind of thought, oh, they're this performance name that they've had before, they're going to ruin it and just make it an electric truck. Well, actually, it's an electric truck and a performance truck, so they haven't really screwed up the name, and that's kind of a cool thing. A few other items to note, then I'll get to my take, I promise. Charging. Ford doesn't have a dedicated like national charging network like Tesla does. Instead, they've sort of cobbled together like various public chargers that support their vehicles, and they've put them into a smartphone app called the Ford Pass app. It's not quite as ideal as the Tesla situation, but it's a start. Now, at home, You can recharge the F-150. Ford says with a 240 volt, you can recharge it at about 14 miles per hour, which means it'll take about 20 hours to recharge the extended range model with the 300-mile range. Or, check this out, you can install at your house, your workplace, your job site, whatever. Ford is offering an 80-amp Charge Station Pro, which is optional for the standard range truck, but standard on the extended range truck, and that'll charge the truck in 8 hours. And if there's a power outage, it can actually take power from the truck, from the battery where it's stored, take it out of the truck and send it back into your home where it has enough power to power your home for at least a few days, depending on your energy usage, and that is a pretty cool feature. And speaking of powering stuff, there are also power outlets all over the F-150 Lightning that you can use to power stuff when you're like out in the field, on a job site, whatever. You need to plug in a power tool, you don't have a handy plug, you don't have to run an extension cord from God knows where, you can just plug it into your truck. And there's a lot of other stuff you can plug in, an air compressor if you go off-roading, or a laptop while you're waiting for your kid's soccer practice to finish, you want to get some work done, whatever. You can do that all using this truck, and that is standard. You don't have to get the Charge Station Pro to do that. You just plug stuff into this truck. So pretty cool stuff. So what do I think of the F-150 Lightning? I think there are some serious benefits to this truck, and there are also a few little drawbacks I noticed when I was kind of perusing everything, which I will touch on. But the biggest benefit is obvious. It seems to be an affordable electric pickup truck that brings electric power to a truck without really sacrificing a lot, and that is pretty impressive. With an electric vehicle, obviously, you generally sacrifice the ability to just be driving along, fill up at a fuel station, 5 minutes, and then be back on your way. But obviously, that's true of this truck, but it's also true of all electric vehicles, so it's not like a specific demerit here. And other sacrifices seem relatively minimal. You can tow up to 10,000 pounds, you can do 0 to 60 in like 4.5 seconds. I mean, it's capable and it's fast. And it's relatively affordable, and those are all pretty impressive things. Plus standard all-wheel drive. I mean, it has basically everything you might want. And truthfully, on that level, I think that this is a fantastic idea. Tesla claims that its upcoming Cybertruck will start from $40,000 and go on sale this year. But most experts are starting to believe that that launch is going to be delayed till next year. And Tesla seems to prioritize releasing the top-end versions of its vehicles before the low-end models, and sometimes either not releasing or just canceling the low-end models outright completely. The top-end Cybertruck starts around $70,000. Now, another electric truck competitor is Rivian, which is coming out with their pickup soon. That also looks very cool. They have promised for years that that truck would be out next month, June of 2021. Doesn't look like that's actually going to happen. Some people are now saying early 22, and again, $70,000 base price. And then the other electric truck, of course, coming out is the new GMC Hummer EV, the crazy Hummer electric truck, which looks awesome, fantastic, incredibly amazing, but starting price of over $100,000. They will be coming out with cheaper versions, but not for years. And even then, the cheapest version is like 80 grand for a base model. So you got Tesla at like 70, 60 grand, you got Rivian at 70, you got Hummer at 80 grand in a few years. Meanwhile, here's Ford with a $40,000 electric truck. And Ford says they're going to be out in about a year, spring of next year, and it's really impressive. It's bringing the electric truck to like regular civilians, not just rich people who were looking for a lifestyle toy. And that was always my big complaint about the Cybertruck. It's like a lifestyle vehicle for wealthy people. The F-150 Lightning seems like a carefully thought out like truck that truck people can actually use and that truck people and businesses can actually afford. And that's a pretty good thing. With that said, I do want to touch on a drawback here. Ford says the base price of the base model F-150 Lightning will be 40 grand, which is great. It really is. It's truly impressive. But it seems the XLT model is going to be in the mid $50,000 range. And like I said, the value proposition doesn't really quite line up there as well. A gas-powered XLT model is like $45,500 to start. Even the F-150 hybrid XLT is like $50,000 to start. So this thing is going to be mid-50s. That's a lot more money. Now, the mid-50s number is before the EV tax credits. So right now, Ford still has EV tax credits left from the federal government, so you can take $7,500 off that mid-$50,000 price. But Ford's $7,500 tax credits will surely run out soon, just like Tesla's already have. Ford is selling a lot of electric vehicles now, and it's likely that those are gonna start running out. So at that point, the tax credit would be whatever your state is offering, which is usually fairly minimal. But either way, it does seem like a base F-150 Lightning is a bargain, but I do want to point people to the fact that the mid-trim models are not quite the like undercutting in price bargain that the base model seems to be. So it's not like there's going to be some revolution where you can get an electric truck for actually less money than a gas-powered truck. It seems like it's going to carry a little bit of a premium, at least in terms of trim levels that virtually all people are actually going to be buying. Now also, one other drawback worth mentioning, not unique at all to the F-150 Lightning, but capabilities of this truck will decrease substantially if you use the Lightning for truck stuff. So the extended range model can tow 10,000 pounds, which is really impressive, but what do you think towing 10,000 pounds will do to the range? 300 miles, you got an additional 10,000 pounds on there, it probably will suffer greatly. And pulling up to a charging station when you're towing a boat, that's not really an ideal situation. A lot of charging stations are just a single parking space. Some places it's not going to be even feasible to charge the truck while you're towing. So that's just something to keep in mind. Capabilities will diminish the truck's range and that sort of thing. Also true of all electric vehicles, of course. But I don't want to take away too much from this truck because those things, the price and the depleted range for towing, those are two things that all EV trucks will face. But this seems like a really compelling EV truck. It doesn't seem to have any specific drawbacks on its own, really. And there's some fantastic innovation here. There's some cool stuff. I think the front trunk is a brilliant idea that solves the age-old truck problem of like having your stuff exposed in your bed for theft or vandalism or rain or whatever. Well, now you have a trunk where you can cover it up. And I think the home charger that can add power back to your house in a power outage is a really good idea. That's also pretty impressive. The giant center screen, that's a great innovation. I've used that screen in the Mustang Mach-E, which I've already reviewed, and it works great. Very intuitive, easy to use, simple. You know, it's similar to a smartphone, but just bigger and easier and better. And that's another great thing to see in a pickup truck. Truthfully, overall, the F-150 Lightning seems like, at least on paper, the most reasonable and widely appealing electric truck that's been announced yet. The Rivian, the Cybertruck, the Hummer EV, they all look awesome. Well, the Cybertruck doesn't look awesome, but its specs and capabilities are awesome. All these trucks seem pretty cool, but they are clearly going after more of a lifestyle pickup truck owner market. There are a lot of lifestyle pickup owners out there, I will grant you, but Ford is betting big on the fact that there are regular people out there who want the capabilities of a truck, but can use electric power as well, can make it work, or think that it's actually a big benefit. Actual truck people, basically, not the lifestyle crowd to bring them sales. And by doing this, they're also not competing. Those three trucks are all going after the same segment of lifestyle buyers. Here's Ford going after a much larger segment of traditional truck buyers. The question is whether you can get them on board with electric. But it's a very interesting market position, and I think it could pay off for them if it's marketed properly and if the benefits of electric are made clear. So overall, I have to say, this is a pretty big step in the car industry. In fact, I think this is a big step forward for electric vehicles in general. You know, people in the middle of the country, your traditional truck shoppers, they don't think much of electric vehicles when a company from California comes out with a futuristically styled car with gull-wing doors and a giant screen. You know, people in Arkansas and Nebraska, generally speaking, are not. They're driving trucks. You know, that's not something that really hits their radar. But when Ford comes out with an electric F-150 and it has all these capabilities, then suddenly this is going to start making these people think, well, now EVs aren't just some nebulous concept that people are doing in California and on the coast. EVs they're coming to my backyard. This is a Ford F-150 that's electric. And I think we might look back on this and see it as something of a turning point in the electric car industry. And you know, it's kind of funny that the Mustang Mach-E has gotten all the electric vehicle press in the last few months. But the Ford Lightning is probably the more important electric vehicle. You know, the Mustang is always the cool idea, and it's fast and it's fun and it's cool to write about and take pictures of. It gets all the glamour of the press. But the F-150 is where the sales are. You know, the Mach-E gets the headlines, but the F-150 gets the sales. And if Ford can convince truck shoppers to go electric, I think you're seeing the beginning of a new revolution of electric vehicles, especially at this price point, especially given what this truck is, not some lifestyle vehicle. So there you go, the F-150 Lightning. Very excited to see it on the market about a year from now. Very, very excited to review it, of course, and frankly, just generally impressed with it. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of truck stuff, decent pricing, and I'm curious to see how truck people respond when confronted with the idea of a true electric pickup truck, the F-150 Lightning.